Hey, what's up, guys? So, I want to make a video on who I was during my high school years. I didn't know who I was during my high school years at all, nor did I give a shit who I was. Um, the way people would see me in high school is, well, they probably wouldn't even see me at all because half the time I was trying to ditch the damn place, and all I cared about really was basically poisoning my body with cigarettes and pot. And I was not interested in sports. I was not interested in music. I was not interested in anything about high school except other people who smoked pot or ditched school. So I was sort of a loner. I sort of was in my own head, in my own world, and really didn't know the beginning of high school. I really didn't know anything about psychology or anything. I didn't, or nothing. I was not a spiritual person. I didn't know anything about spirituality. I didn't give a damn. I didn't give a damn about religion. I didn't give a damn about politics. I didn't give a damn about anything. I thought that I was just a stoner, and that's just who I created myself to be, without considering that my brain is still developing during that time. Um, I lived entirely in my imagination, and I was completely unconscious and completely not present. And I had a best friend who I did stuff with almost every day before I went to high school. And then when high school started, for some odd reason, he became, I guess, some mental issues, and he became depressed, and just like that, the friendship was crashed. And I'm not sure if I still realize how much that hurts to lose the best friend I had. Um, I didn't realize I was probably depressed because my best friend just literally stopped talking to me and stopped talking to everyone else, and just became antisocial and depressed. And I hated my classes. I was never with anyone I was close to, and I didn't really care about socializing or anything, empathy, anything. I was just numb. And to be honest, I was pretty dumb back then, pretty stupid. Did stupid decisions. I got into trouble, and I didn't know who I was. One could say I was lost back then. Um, and then I hung out with the wrong crowd and ended up being threatened verbally over the internet. Ended up getting arrested for criminal damage, which was really fucking stupid. Um, and I could have died. I could have ended up in a really bad situation, hanging out with the wrong crowd, hanging out with people that were gang related, and people who were troubled, and people who had dysfunctional families. Um, we would drive around a lot and just get high and really do nothing productive, but just drive around and do pretty dangerous stuff, driving around gang areas. And I was kind of pulled into it. It wasn't really my idea, peer pressure and all that. Um, so I didn't know who I was. I thought I was a stoner, and I didn't have too many friends. I mean, the people I hung out with were just not really my friends, to be honest. If I could go back, I think I would try to change a lot of things. I would try to meet a lot of people. I would try to stick in there and not give up. Maybe even try sports or do something physical, like working out or yoga or something like that, which would really help. At the time, I didn't realize that I was anxious and depressed. I didn't even know what depression was. And so I just hung out with the wrong people because I lost my best friend until shit just fucking hit the fan and I got arrested and uh I everyone who was involved in the vandalism got busted. And of course, I won't get too into the details, but I was threatened multiple times over the internet, verbally. I was even physically attacked by so-called gang members. Not too bad, but just punched repeatedly a couple times. Um, and so that right there, I think created the first trauma in my life. I was threatened too. I was told, if you do this, I will kill you. And I literally felt like I was going to die. And I literally felt like I had to, like I couldn't go back to school. A lot of people from my high school don't know that I went to a kind of off-campus behavioral school because I didn't feel safe at high school. I didn't want to go back because I was being harassed. And the day after I was punched, again, many people don't even know this, but the day after I was punched, I saw one of the guys, and I had a kind of a cut on my head or a bruise, and the guy said, "Oh, how's your cut?" or whatever, and I felt like I couldn't even. I didn't want to tell teachers because then I would be, ratting or whatever. So I didn't really tell anyone, and I just had a big meeting with my principal and with my parents, and we decided that I would go to a different school. And interestingly enough, when I did go to this other school, things started to change. I started to meet new friends. Unfortunately, the school I went to had many people with behavioral and mental disorders, so it wasn't exactly the best place for me. Um, but at the time, there was a period where I just really uh, began to study other religions, other philosophies, and really just start self-educating myself. Um, and then I started to become interested in like the doctor medical field. I just became fascinated with that, and then I had my father's uncle was a funeral director who passed away, but I suddenly became interested in doing funeral service work and working with the dead. As morbid as it sounds, um, a part of me wanted to become a funeral director because one of the reasons was a more egotistical reason, because I would be kind of a person who dressed elegantly and made good money and um, was almost in a position of power where people respect me just because, oh, I'm a funeral director, I wear a suit. But then another part of me wanted to go into the field because uh, I wanted to almost do grief counseling with people. And because there's a part of me, especially at the time, that was actually grieving, and I didn't know I was grieving. So yeah, um, I basically, after I went to the off-campus school, I I got my first job at a movie theater, made a lot of friends. I got my first, you could say, girlfriend who we would go out. I would go out with, and we would just party with a bunch of rich suburban people. And as crazy as she was, she wasn't truly my girlfriend or a real girlfriend, um, because she was an alcoholic and she had issues of her own. But I was happy because it was basically my first girlfriend, and people started treating me differently because I had a girlfriend. I was invited to all these parties, and everyone liked me. I started reading books on how to be a people magnet, and I was very interested in other people. Another reason I was interested in other people is because I became prescribed to Adderall at the time, which really made me very extroverted, very people friendly, people pleasing, and very action oriented and responsible. And that was me just upping my game, I met a lot of people from a new town. At the same time, I was afraid of the other people in my town, that they would know, that they would, talk shit about me or wonder why I left high school. I just disappeared. And many people to this day, I guess, don't even know the story of why I left high school. It was definitely a rough time, but um, thanks to the Adderall, I was very focused and very into educating myself and reading and poetry and stuff like that. And um, it was a huge change to go to the off-campus school. And then I started, hanging out with the first girls I ever hung out with, and as crazy as they were, and as incompatible as they were to me, I didn't give a damn. I just wanted to be around girls. Um, but yeah, I really wish I could connect with more people in high school. Um, I think I kind of didn't see my worth in high school, and so therefore I didn't even think I was worthy of friends, or I didn't think there was anything unique about me or any kind of gifts. And I always hated school. I always hated it. Um, but I found that after I took Adderall at the off-campus school, it was easier for me to focus on school and things I didn't really care about. Because on Adderall, it doesn't matter. It could be the most boring subject, but you're very enthralled by any little subject. Um, what else? That was a very intense period of my life and a very dark place and tumultuous time of my life. But my life really, at least I felt, got happier after I left high school. I didn't feel safe at high school, um, because people were bullying me behind everyone's backs and trying to intimidate me, because these groups of uh, gangs would go around the town I grew up in, and they'd find people to intimidate. And that was just their game. That was just, you know, their wounded their wounded child, their shadow, their persona. Um, I didn't realize at the time that every single damn guy I was around was really participating in a boyish psychology, and I was too, and I thought that was all there is. A part of me, I can tell you about the kind of persona I wished I was in high school. I wished I was like a rebel stoner kind of bad boy who kind of um, did drugs and just um, was basically a rebel and kind of like a ghetto hip hop type of person. If I could say one thing to my high school self, it would be that you are worthy, but you don't. You just have to recognize your worth. So that's a little bit of insight into who I was during high school. Thank you very much for watching. Adios.